Perspective. It is a weekly program, precisely once in a week, and that's Monday at 11:15 a.m. Nigerian time. Two perspectives highlight trending issues as they unfold, and unlike any other program, Perspective is strictly opinionated as it allows for our guests to express their viewpoint on any current issue that the program brings to limelight. Kindly accept our invitation to join in the conversation every Monday for the rest of the year. And it will be my pleasure to host you and my guests to an eye-opening session, because in the multitude of opinion, you'll find better understanding of what is happening around you that can either make you or break you. Perspective team is made up of Chikeze Chinkata, Victoria Gaji, Risikat, Ejeme, Georgina Onfring, Kirunoli, Uchinugu, and Buki Towuru. By the way, that's my name. Wish for a better 2025 and that you have an understanding of times with your eyes opened to know more in depth. So let's get back to what the day holds. 2024, that's in December. Headline news like these were in the media. CBN restructures 1,000 staff set for retirement and 50 billion shake-up. CBN to retire 1,000 employees with 50 billion severance package. And just a day after, the story evolves to reps investigate planned retirement of 1,000 CBN staff. Reps pro planned mass retrenchment of 1,000 CBN staff. We did not force 1,000 staff to retire, says CBN. I can go on and on and on. And by the 3rd of January 2025, the House of Rep in Abuja held a fact-finding session to unravel what really transpired in the retirement of 1,000 staff of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The aim was set by the Majority Chief Whip, Usman Bello Kumo. Please listen to him.
And report back to the House. So we implore you to avail this committee with necessary informations, facts and figures, but be rest assured, the assembly of these members of this committee, I am very optimistic and certain that we are responsible enough to be fair in our fact findings, we should be balanced, and will be fair to all manner of members involved in this exercise.
Also, Deputy Speaker says apologies for that. Also, Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives Benjamin Okeze-Kalu reiterates whether
process we are strictly adhered to in arriving at this figure. Transparency in such matters is key to maintaining public trust as well as ensuring the integrity of our institutions.
Well, the best available of the media, or the best available to the media from that sitting were the words of the CBN governor, represented at the sitting by the Deputy Governor of Corporate Services, Bala Mohammed.
Voluntarily actually emanated on the part of the staff. And I believe Central Bank is not necessarily the first organization to have done that. I'm very happy to mention, Mr. Chairman, sir, and members of the committee, the exit program of the Central Bank is 100% voluntary. So nobody has been asked to leave. But people were based on popular demand. I may be humble, with a lot of humility, to tell you that this same program that is taking place is not at the instance of the bank itself. It's actually, of course, we have our own challenges and we know where we want to take the bank to. That's Cardoso and his team, myself inclusive.
Well, that was just to give you a background. The sitting chaired by Chief Whip Usman Kumo later on went into a closed-door meeting, and the media was not briefed after that, as it has to report back to the House first. Neither was any communique issued to counter the Deputy Governor's assertion that no staff was coerced to leave the bank, and in his words, the initiative to leave early was from the staff. Super story here. So joining me to share his viewpoint on the voluntary retirement of 1,000 staff of the Central Bank of Nigeria and restructuring of the MDA is Mr. Wilson Agaba Wilson. Mr. Wilson, good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you for always being here.
Thank you.
Becoming our expert. And to Mr. Chigozie, both our financial expert and consultant. Mr. Chigozie, good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you for joining us. To short notice, thank you, we quite appreciate.
Thank you so much.
Well, this is the first edition of the program. Happy New Year to you, by the way.
Happy New Year.
Let's jump right into this conversation. A quick one. What's the latest on the matter?
Okay.
Yeah.
Not much have been heard, just like you read. The committee, ad hoc committee, we met in private. We don't know if they have briefed the House. I haven't heard anything from the House about the briefing from that committee. But I'm sure it's a new year. There's the issue of budget presentation, budget defense from the
And then
MPs
going
and
on
all
break
of
as
that,
well.
going on break. So I think that may have interrupted the discussion on the issue. And I'm sure if the media pushes appropriately, we will soon hear from them, because I always say that the media is the fourth arm of the government and the most powerful one. They are the one that can actually design what the people think, because if you put the message out there so very many times, it begins to become, it's just like when they say if a lie is told 1,000 times, it begins to sound like the truth. Media is the one that is able to create this opinion, perspectives, and all of that in the heart of men. And if the media stays on an issue, it will get to a logical conclusion.
Mr. Chigozie, do you share in that belief as well too?
Just like you rightly said, the media is actually one of the responsibilities of the media to force the hand of government to do and to say out the right thing. Because I've been listening to the public view of what he was saying about that there was no forceful retirement and all that. It leads me to begin to think why government always maybe say whatever they wish to the public, because most of us are close to some of these people that retire. We saw the mayor that was saying that outrightly. It was outright there. In fact, some of the staffs there will tell you by 2 o'clock every day, just check your mail and see if you may be part of it. So coming out to
So if I'm
outrightly
going to
deny,
ask you what was your reaction when you heard the news, so it wasn't anything shocking to you?
of course, the government, this is not the first time they are doing this. You know, sometimes these things happens and they sweep it under the carpet and nobody hears anything. And why, for as much as I believe there are good aspects of it, there are, but the disadvantageous aspect of it is so enormous that we can't it will tell on us.
That would have been my next question as well. So the representative of the governor also said the exercise had the retired people go home with their full benefits, and it's for us to have the opportunity to reinvigorate, bring in new blood, bring in new perspective into how things needed to be done, streamline, refocus, re-energize. All seems like a new employment actually may happen.
I'm going to jump on this one. And what I would first like to do is to drop an objective line from which we can now analyze this issue. First of all, early retirement programs, voluntary retirement programs, early exit, voluntary exit, whatever the name is a concept known in human resource management. And it is acceptable by many organizations, including the International Labour Organization across the world. It is also spelled out clearly how it is done. And there are situations that warrant early retirement or whatever. They are all under the umbrella name called voluntary retirement. Okay? And then non-voluntary retirement. Voluntary retirement is when it is thrown out to you. Do you want to go? Or you on your own go to the management and say, I would like to leave for XYZ. What would I get? I am not resigning, I want to retire early. And the management says, okay, based on XYZ, we are giving you this, or based on our rules, this is what you are getting. Now, where you have Voluntary retirement on the other side is when the management throws it out to you. Who wants to go? We are overburdened. Or advancement in technology has made us less competitive in today's world, such that certain roles are no longer needed. We are going to train certain people in order to be able to adapt to the new business environment. So we need to shed weight. But we don't want to tell anybody to go. We know there are people here who would want to go, who would have other things on their mind that they would really like to do. Maybe they don't have the confidence, maybe they are afraid of finance, maybe they don't know where they will get help. If we can help you with those things, are you willing to leave? It's win-win for both people. I give you some money, you can now go and live your happy life, and then I can reorganize my organization. It is acceptable everywhere in the world. It is acceptable in the corporate world.
Mr. Chigozie, does any of those mails have things like this in it? Since you said you cited
So most of the mails, we saw some of these layoff staffs. What you see there, just your services are no longer needed. That's why when I saw the caption, voluntary retirement, I asked myself, is it actually voluntary? Were they involved? To me, I call it forceful retirement. It is forceful retirement where, that's why there's some staff says, anytime you wake up, every 2 o'clock, just check your mail and see if you may be part of those that they are laying off for the day. Everybody, it is too fierce. People became afraid because when you see a situation, you've served the country for a while, after a while, you just see a mail. And the only thing you capture, no reason for retirement, no, just that your services are no longer needed and all your entitlement to be paid.
It just seems like the people who actually got those mails were comfortable with it, because I don't think there was anybody who raised, or we didn't hear their voice enough.
Like I was saying, I would like to also establish that line of thought first, so that we begin to go into this aspect. I know we are short of time, but then there's a lay down way of doing voluntary retirement. And in every organization, you can also do involuntary retirement, where you restrain staff because you can no longer handle it. Okay? So, but then you have to, if it is voluntary, you have to throw it out. People have to negotiate the terms and conditions. It has to be agreed between the staff union and the management. It has to be in line with the labor laws of the country and any international labor law to which the country is signed up to. And all of these things need to be done. And whatever you are going to pay, the time that is going to be paid, how you are going to determine who gets what, is clearly defined and transparently done, so that we know when I'm leaving. I'll give you a good example very close to the home here. I used to work in Bank PHB, the then Bank PHB, which eventually became Keystone. And immediately after the MD at the time was relieved of his job, we had a new MD whose job mainly was to prepare the bank for maybe resale or handover or whatever. They did this kind of voluntary retirement program. And what they did, they sent all of us a mail. And they said, if you are interested in living on your own, we are going to pay XYZ for each year you have spent in the bank. We are going to remit your pension contribution for XY years. And we are going to remit your mortgage contribution for XY year. And if you are signing up to this, fill this form. And if you fill this form, your job will be terminated the day you receive a alert for the money. And that's how it went. A lot of people went voluntarily. And you take the money, maybe you have been working here, you have your eye on one SME and you want to go and start. This money comes in, you go and do it. The rest of us were there. Eventually, people were sacked without those benefits because the organization have to shed weight. All right? So in the case of the Central Bank of Nigeria, what we will now do in this conversation, and what I urge Nigerians to do so that we don't use emotion to handle issues as we always do and leave the meat of it,
Exactly,
is to now take this standard practice and put it side by side by what has happened in the CBN, where these people informed, because according to the person who represented the CBN governor at the committee, he said that they have been doing this, and it's usually at the top level, top management level. For instance, a director in place, for instance, you have 30 departments and you have 60 people, these are his word, who are ably qualified to become directors. And you can only have 30 directors because you have only 30 departments. What are you going to do? The growth of the remaining 30 directors are stunted. And they have learned enough to be able to do more. They would be happy if they are given the opportunity to go and do something else within the economy. And so this was the first motivation of doing it. That only this time around, the staff union said it should be extended to all cadre of the CBN organizational structure, which is why you are now having people from everywhere in it. So for me, the questions we should be asking is this: was it truly voluntary by throwing it out and telling people to sign up? 2, did you discuss the conditions and terms for relief with them? If it was discussed, did you mutually agree? If you mutually agreed, have you kept your own side before relieving them if people have actually been relieved? So these are the questions we should be asking. And another bigger question is, the representative of the CBN governor said they are doing reorganization, restructuring, and all of that, which for me, as an expert who consult for businesses, I understand. The business landscape, or even the landscape in which every organization operates, has changed drastically due to the rapid advancement in technology. Blockchain, AI specifically, has come to change a lot of it. And it has removed many functions from organizations. Functions of questions of easy inquiries. How do you do this? Who should I talk to this? And then I can do it. A robo-advisor can advise you for.
Okay, so quickly,
all of these
I have
things.
something as a follow-up for that question for you. If CBN says they have 30 departments, they have 60 qualified people, they can only work with 30, so others are stunted. It happens in every other organization. You're either going to wait for the retirement of the person who is taking that seat, or you will be there forever. And God help you if that person, you're going to retire before the person, that means you go before. Is it also possible for them to have done that?
Yeah, it is possible. The facts from what he said, I'm going to pick some point from what he says directly. I read through it, I listened to it. From what he said is, okay, for instance, you have 7 years to go, the current director have 8 years, or the current director have 7 years, you have 8 years. What are you going to be doing as a director? You could stay, right? But you can go and do something else. Remember that as you're retiring, you are getting old. Your risk-taking capacity becomes lower as you go out. So if you have a business idea, for instance, you think, I can go and start this year. If I keep you for the next 7 years, you might not be able to start it. Coincidentally, I was having this discussion with one of my senior friends who is about to retire also from the civil service very soon. And I was telling him a lot of civil servants said, if I'm paying my gratuity or my final emolument, I will put it into a business that will keep me. And then at the end of the day, you don't prepare for it and you get paid and you lavish the money. Because you have not prepared to go. That's on another side that we're going to talk about. Preparing for retirement is something I've been trying to prepare people for.
This conversation wouldn't be taking us into that.
Yes.
Probably some other time. But Mr. Chigozie, let me find out from you. So the people who took the money, was there anybody who complained that I was not, asked, we didn't go through all of this process? Because it's also already in the space. A lot of people knew such things that happened before the 1,000 exits. If any one of them got the message and they didn't see anything, they were paid. Actually, so why the outcry? Why take the bank to court?
All right, when this message came, it's like a shock. Just like we said, it's not voluntary. To many of them, that goes back to what my friend here said about the restructuring process. Of course, we know, to me, CBN restructuring is long overdue, looking at the economic policies over time now. But the process at which they took it now wasn't the right place, right way. And some of them who got this. The question now we ask ourselves is, how did they get in there in the first place? That's another thing you should look at. You know, if there is anything that happens and there is a cockroach in your cup or two, you may not cry too much. Because crying too much, the person will just open the cupboard and see the cockroach, you close it and you keep quiet. And that's what plays out. And remember, most of this smell is no longer, in fact, they can't reach it again. Do you know why? As soon as you're terminated, you can't access that mail.
Yes, that's what should be.
So they can change anything tomorrow to tell you it wasn't, they didn't force them to retire.
No,
But
but,
you also
but
have
from
However,
IT perspective, that mail can be retrieved.
It
by
can be
IT
retrieved,
experts.
yeah, by IT experts, of
You
course.
can't delete it. Once
Of
you have
course.
sent it, it can be retrieved.
Of course. But there are many other ways we could still look at it. Just like we said, how did they get there in the first place? What are the process? You know, the problem of these issues we are seeing is process of recruitment to start with.
That's a fundamental issue.
Fundamental issue is there. Now, even when they are saying we are going to bring in new hands, and then that's because of this IT, like my colleague said here, that actually give rise to, because it means so many people will not suit in into the new developmental stage. They have to go, but the process for them to go determines, and they makes it no better. Because number one, when you said they are going to bring in new hands, at the end, who gets who matters. Who gets what
And
at the
what
same time.
hand?
And what you see, the next other thing is we'll be seeing who are the ones that brought you, which complementary card person do you have? Is it coming from the Senate? Is it coming from National Assembly? Is it coming from so presidency? And that's the problem. It is not based on merit, but based on who knows who.
That's what you're thinking.
Yes,
That will likely
and
happen.
that's why you're not feeling the effect of what the economic policies they have been making. Because if it's based on merit, you see that sometimes you feel the impact, the effect of some of the. Watch out the last 8 years, or let me say last 12 years of CBN during Mefere, so many economic policies, so many things that is going on. You see, what we are seeing now is accumulated policy failure. Accumulated policy failure over time. That's what we are seeing now. Which is like when you link it to this other of say subsidy here and there. I tell them no, we are not paying for subsidy. We are actually paying for the mistake this current government did. That is floating of currency.
19 minutes
Policies.
before midday, the program is Perspectives on Capital FM. Well, the confirmation of the voluntary resignation and retirement of 1,000 staff has thrown up so many questions and concerns. Topmost is whether it is in line with the government's intentions to enhance service delivery and reduction in the cost of governance, or could it serve as a blueprint on the proposed restructuring in the MDAs and getting it right with the civil service structure generally? That will be raised after this time out. Please stay with us.